Hey, what is up everybody? I am Chance and we are back today for another episode of Our Life Beginnings, and always, I think it's part 19. Don't hold me to it, but we'll see. Anyways, let me be quiet and let's get back into the game. Alright, so we have made it to the end of step 2. I don't know where we're going, but we're going to find out together. So let's go on ahead and click this lovely button down here, and then summer ended. There was no denying it. Today was the very last day of summer. Tomorrow, you were heading to class. You were excited to go back. Anxiety gnawed at your stomach. It was a bummer. Your feelings were muddled. So, okay, here we go. I'm conflicted. I'm stuck between you were excited to go back and your feelings were muddled. Hey, they're both blue. Because Jamie would be excited to go back to school, but your feelings were muddled. Like, I mean, you could be excited to go back, but then like kind of like, oh man, but summer's ending. You know what? Let's go ahead. We're going to be excited to go back because we love school, I guess. That's how we've been playing them. That's what we're going to do. Though summer had been fun, you had taken your fill, and now you were longing for fresh excitement. A new school year was full of potential. You got dressed, not... What word is this? Envisaging? Envisaging? Not envisaging? You got dressed, not... How do you say this word? Oh my... Envisaging. You got dressed, not envisaging the day before you, but contemplating what lay ahead of you tomorrow. Life was sure going to be different. You had come to think of the summer vacation as the norm, but school stretched out for the majority of the year, whereas the summer vacation was just a break in the middle. So rather than it being different, it was kind of a return to the normal. What did your normal life really mean? Oh my... We're getting into these kinds of questions, huh? What does normal life really mean? You considered how fondly your moms talked about their summer vacations as kids. You dimly recognized that one year, the pattern of school and summer itself would be over for good. It was hard to imagine. Yeah. You'd gotten distracted, one arm still out of a sleeve. You pulled it through and put your mind back to the present. This season had brought about plenty of changes of its own, like Kyra's visit, though that too was coming to an end today. You were happy you'd finally gotten the chance to know her. You had become extremely fond of her. You didn't really like her. Your mind wasn't made up on how you felt about her. You didn't care one way or the other. See, the only thing that like is keeping me from doing you had become extremely fond of her is the extremely part, because I don't know if we became extremely fond of her. You know what? We're gonna go down the middle. We're just gonna go with you were happy you'd finally gotten the chance to know her. She was interesting to be around. You liked how easy it was to talk to her. Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. You finished dressing, which was good. Cove would be there any moment. You'd agree to see his mom off together. Officially, the plan was that he would come over to bring you round to his house when she was ready to set off, but you both knew that you'd be hanging out for at least a little while beforehand. Kyra's visit had troubled Cove when it first happened. It had been a sudden change, thanks to Mr. Holden's infamous tendency to surprise people, but once he was able to adjust, he'd been in pretty good spirits with her around. It was a relief for everyone. The next thought that crossed your mind was, it would only be polite to get the door for Cove. You went downstairs to wait. You couldn't wait to see Cove, so you went downstairs to meet him when he arrived. Cove knew your house well enough. You could lounge in your room to wait for him. Let's do the you couldn't wait to see Cove, so you went downstairs to meet him when he arrived. You bounded down the stairs, your hand gliding over the rail. You wanted to make sure you got there first. If you didn't hurry, your moms might answer it. It was only a few minutes later when the doorbell rang. As you'd chosen to stand beside it to wait for Cove, there was no delay in pulling it open. So it's like, ding dong, hey, what is up? Y'all, really quick story time. I'm sorry, quick thing. So actually the other day I got a package, or actually my wife got a package, and I was waiting on a package as well, and so I wanted to go see if they had delivered it to the mailbox, right? So I opened the door, and right there was the delivery lady, and we both just looked at each other like, hello? I felt so bad for her. I mean, I was startled, but she must have had to have been extra startled because the door opening really fast. Anyways, yeah, back to this. Cove was there, just as you'd expected. Seeing you, he flashed you a bright grin. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Cove. Come on in. Once he'd stepped inside, you beckoned for him to follow you upstairs. Back up in your room, you sat down on your bed and waited for Cove to settle in as you knew he would. With other guests, you might have offered them a seat, but you and Cove were long past those tentative stages of friendship. Your room was as familiar to him as his own. You watched as Cove sat down in your desk chair, his preferred spot. He rolled it closer to the bed to make it easier to chat, tweaking the angles so that he was facing you fully. Once happy with the position, he leaned in towards you, hands held in his lap. His actions weren't the ones of someone who planned on moving from his spot anytime soon, even though you had an appointment to keep together that day. When is your mom leaving? We've got some time. She's still gotta shower and stuff before she goes. She didn't want me to keep hanging around while she was doing that. He lifted his head, his gaze drifting out through the window, and chuckled. I can't believe she's already leaving. Just when I'm getting used to her being there every day. He leaned back in the chair, a wry smile tickling his cheeks. Yeah, you nodded. She'll be back. Time's going by so fast. This one? She'll be back. He cocked his head thoughtfully before shrugging. Sorry. He ran a hand through his hair before shaking his head, as if shaking off the topic like a dog whipping off water following a dip in the sea. Oh, poor Cove. Cove perched an elbow on the chair's arm and propped his jaw against his curled hand. There was a natural ease to his movements, a familiarity from the echoes of all the times before when he'd sat in the same position. This was a really nice summer. Totally. It was alright. I'm glad we got to spend so much time together. I've had better. I'm looking forward to the next. You nodded your agreement. I think we had a great summer, so we're gonna go with totally. Bloop. Cove still nestled cozily in your chair, smiled at your response. How are your fish doing? Really good. Things in the tank are stable and everybody looks healthy. That was nice to hear. You'd learned from Cove how hard it was to maintain an aquarium. Skipper has been busy. What's Skipper been doing? Keeps darting between the plants and out again when I walk by, like a game of peekaboo. You go, Skipper. Or hide and seek. Yeah. Cove idly glanced out the window. He gave a resigned sigh. It's gonna be harder to surf. You know, with school, it's getting colder out. I don't want to get rusty. I don't know how I'm gonna go on without surfing. I like surfing, but I wish it liked me. I'm over surfing now. Surfing's cool when we can. Sorry, Cove. So I don't think Jamie was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do without surfing levels of surfing. I really want to do this one. I like surfing, but I wish it liked me. I can't stick to the board. Well, that's not true. That's technically not true because we got okay at it, but... He gave a light smile coupled with a shrug as a response. Jamie, Cove! The sudden call from downstairs caught you both unaware. You'd nearly forgotten the world outside your room. From the guilty look on his face, Cove had done the same. Just had a call. Cove's mom is ready to go. If you're quick, she might keep the mandated motherly smothering to a minimum. You doubted that, but it was nice that Mom and Miss Priest had their strange sense of humor in common. Your eyes met Cove's. Wordlessly, you headed downstairs together. Each step on the way there was painfully slow, like he was trying to delay the inevitable. His whole body tensed, leaving the house, and Cove froze altogether before you both could cross the street. The door's open. Dad must be taking her stuff out. He swallowed hard. This is sad, y'all. She's really gonna leave. You smiled at him reassuringly. You gave his back a pat. You rested your hand on his arm. This isn't the last time you'll ever see her. So we're not going to do this last one because we've already said that, and I think saying it twice, it's already, I think, kind of a little bit insensitive, maybe. Saying it twice would be even more. So let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. You gave his back a pat. Your motion was soft and you weren't sure if he even noticed at first. It'll be okay. Cove's bottom lip quivered and he turned away. You gave his back a couple more reassuring pats. Thanks. At that, some of the conflict warring on his face eased a bit. Together, you went across the street and inside his house, finding his parents in the living room surrounded by his mom's packed things. Hey kids. Good timing. I just called the taxi. Hi. And hi, Jamie. So glad I could get to see you today. It was fabulous getting to know you this summer. I finally got... Oh, Cove's face with that. I finally got to put a face to the name I've heard so many times. She winked and Cove patted on cue over the teasing. I'm really happy I got to meet you too. I hope you had a good time visiting. Bye. You didn't say anything in response. We're gonna say I'm really happy I got to meet you too. Hopefully it won't be too long before we see each other again. Nodding, Kyra turned her attention back to her boys. She patted Cliff on the arm with a warm smile, and then she enveloped Cove in a crushing hug. Initially, Cove squirmed to break free from her grip, but his mom was unfazed and kept him locked in place. Heartbeats later, he gave in and hugged her back tightly. I'm so happy this trip was a success. Cliff looked like he was bursting with pride. He would. And then Cove stiffened. Kyra loosened her hold on him enough to study his face, concerned. She spoke her next words in a whisper that had been meant just for her son. Do you want to unshelve it? Raising an eyebrow, Cliff watched them carefully. His smile began to falter. What's wrong? Cove sighed and his gaze flickered over to you for a moment, and then just as quick, it was back to on his parents. It's alright.
Really?
Are you sure? I don't want to do it now. I can tell Dad later. What is he doing? Nervously, you watched the exchange with the growing suspicion that Cove didn't want to have the conversation while you were there. You wondered if you should offer to leave when Kyra gave Cove a pat on the head. You can always call me if you want me to be part of the conversation, okay? I'll call. Thanks, Mom. Cliff still looked baffled about what Kyra and Cove were referring to, but you watched as his shoulders slowly relaxed. You figured that he decided to wait for Cove to be ready to talk to him. And with Cliff's silence, things seemed to be settled for now. After that, it wasn't long before the taxi arrived, rolling up in front of the house, and in clear view of the open door, Kyra stood up, smiling sadly. Well, that's my ride. Yeah. The matching reply got a chuckle out of Kyra as you all filed out of the house. Father and son went with Kyra's bag in hand. Once outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Derek was also with them. Freaking Derek! How did we forget about Derek? Did he only show up once? Maybe twice? Wow. Anyways, once outside, you spotted your family waiting by the street, and to your surprise, Derek was also with them. He stood uncomfortably, and he waved as soon as you noticed him.
What's up?
Hey, Jamie. Hi, Cove. When did you get here? My dad dropped me off just a little bit ago. I thought I could visit one more time before school started.
Sorry.
You picked a busy time. Sorry. Derek couldn't even look at Cove. He nervously kept rolling a pebble with the bottom of his shoe.
Sorry.
I wasn't even thinking that your mom would be leaving today. I'm sorry, dude. What? You're not interrupting anything. You're always welcome here. It would have been sad if I didn't get to say goodbye before leaving. Derek came to hang out often, so it wasn't inevitable that the two had met at some point this season. I think so too. It was apparent Derek would have preferred to have gotten there at a more opportune moment. He never liked seeming impolite, but their reassuring words soothed his worries. The tension he was holding in his body lessened, and he looked like he was feeling much more like himself. Bye, Derek. It was fun getting to know you. Bye, ma'am. Is there anything I can do to help? What a cute kid, oh my god. Nah, don't worry yourself over that. We're just about set. In that short amount of time, Cliff had gathered and packed the bags into the trunk. Kyra took one last look at everyone inside. Alright, I don't want to keep the driver waiting. It's time to head out. The little crowd that had formed around started their chorus of farewells and well wishes traveling, but Kyra still made no move to get into the taxi. She placed her attention on Cove. I'll call when I get to the airport and when I make it to Nevada. Also, you better call the moment you walk in the door at home. Otherwise, we'll be wondering all night if you got into trouble on the way there. I can do that. And could you call tomorrow too, so I can tell you how school went? Oh my god, my heart. Of course, I want to hear all about it. Kyra put a hand on Cove's head and affectionately ruffled his hair one last time. She then let go, only to move on to squeezing his cheeks in her hands instead. Mom!
Cove.
I love you so much, baby. Aww. She was chuckling by the time she freed him and rounded things off with a small tap to the tip of his nose. Cove rubbed at his face with a grin. Finally, she walked to the car while waving and took her seat in the taxi. Cliff took an arm around Cove's shoulder and kept him close as it began to pull away. For a moment, Cove looked up at his dad and then wrapped an arm around his back. Bye, Mom. Bye. Safe travels. Travel safe. Kyra rolled down the window and stuck her head out of it. She waved again while blowing kisses at Cove and Cliff. See you again. Before she was out of sight, you decided to call out with your family and hers, wave goodbye, watch quietly. Call out with your family and hers, right? Yeah. As you added your voice to the others, you watched Kyra's smile grow larger. The cab turned down another road and completely disappeared from view. Cove let go of his dad and took a few steps out into the empty street, still looking in the direction his mom went. He smiled quietly, deep in thought. You got the impression Cove was feeling better than he was earlier. He was finally content with the way things were. You jumped a bit when your mom put a hand on your shoulder, pulling you away from your thoughts. She smiled when you looked at her. This was a great vacation, huh? Yeah, I think so. Or I don't think so. You nodded in agreement. You shrugged. I don't know. Summer isn't over until the second I fall asleep. I will just say yeah. That's what I was hoping to hear. Cove walked back over to the group, still genuinely happy. Derek grinned at him welcomingly, and everyone else there smiled at him, even Elizabeth. Well? Ma clapped her hands together, bringing everyone's attention back to the present. It's almost lunchtime. I think I'll put something special together. Her eyes sparkled with a plan, and Mom smiled. I bet you could use some help with that. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Derek glanced between the two, his eyebrows furrowed. Is there something I could do? What a great kid! Holy crap! Your mom's exchanged a fond expression. Ma shook her head.
How sweet.
That's very sweet, Derek. But it's alright. It's not your job. Technically, your dad left you under Cliff's watch. You're meant to be taken care of by him, not doing chores for the neighbors. Mom laughed a little over her own joke. You watched Derek look away, discouraged. It's okay. I don't mind. He was a little bashful about it. You wondered if Mom's joke had just reminded him that he wasn't initially meant to be invited to lunch. It was getting a little awkward. Aww. Mom grinned sympathetically. Her comment was meant to lighten the mood, not bring it back down. Ma tried again to get things moving forward. Why don't you kids go have fun? You all can come back in about an hour. We'll make enough for everyone. Mom nodded in agreement.
Sounds good.
Another stunning idea, Lonnie. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds like a plan then. I don't want to cramp your style. I've got some stuff to work on, so I can be out of your hair this afternoon. You should come by later too. No reason you should be the odd man out. Mom seemed amused as Cliff rubbed his neck nervously. He grinned a wavering but pleased smile.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate the invite. He looked over the assembled crowd with knowing glances. I can help too. With as many people as you're feeding, that's going to be a lot of food. Didn't you hear what we told Derek? I love her face. It wouldn't be fair to make you cook when we're the ones who are inviting you in. Ma raised an eyebrow when Cliff waved it off.
Come on.
I insist. Derek will be missing time with his pals. This would be a break for me. I'm quite the chef. Fair, he is. Ma and Mom exchanged further glances before Mom shrugged. An airtight argument. If you're sure, we'll be happy to have you, Chef Cliff. They're all so cute. Oh my god, I can't. Cliff's grin widened and seemed more hyped than you'd expect him to be about helping with lunch. Cove shook his head, a fond smile on his face. Then all us grown-up people will be heading inside. I assume the rest of you kiddos are staying out? Maybe not all of them. Ma tilted her head, a silent question for Elizabeth. Your sister thought for a moment. I'll stay with the kids.
That's fantastic.
That's great. Both your moms smiled at her, while Derek and Cove didn't seem to appreciate her phrasing. But with the plan decided, all three parents waved and headed for your house. It was just you teenagers now. Elizabeth looked at you and the others, a curious expression on her face. So, what now? That'll be the end of this. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to play through, so if you did like it, give me one of those thumbs up. Let me know how you're feeling in the comments down below, and if you want to keep seeing more, hit that beautiful subscribe button. Bye!